The voice of sharing, Durian
Hi, this is your host Arlene at the Durian Heat, where we discuss critical issues from Southeast Asia. Today, we are going to continue the discussion about the topic Tourists Shouldn't Ride the Elephants on elephant tourism and conservation. Lately, there are news pop up about elephants' abuse and exploitation through logging and tourism. The recent case would be a tourist being stomped to death by a killer elephant in Thailand. Why is this happening? I will be speaking to Teck Wyn, a long-time environmentalist and currently is doing his PhD on elephant studies. In this second segment, he will be speaking about the unethical side of elephant tourism and why you shouldn't ride an elephant. You are now listening to the Durian Heat.
The Durian Heat, bringing big ideas and critical opinions in Southeast Asia.
With me is Teck Wyn. He is an environmentalist, and earlier on he had shared some of his discovery on elephants regarding on the recent incident of the killer elephant that stomped tourists recently in Thailand. What can we learn about this?
Well, the bottom line is that elephants are wild animals, and even the ones that have been tamed, they have only been tamed because they've been forced to go through this process where they've been tortured by people and made to fear people. And because they're very intelligent animals, I mean, the classic thing is that elephants never forget. If they are subjected to abuse continuously, they might sometimes be put in the situation where they just break out of their natural submissiveness, and they can attack the keeper and maybe even attack the people that around the area. And that can, of course, cause a lot of problems because they're big animals, but ultimately what it shows is their natural nature is coming out. And that's why what I would recommend is that people try as far as possible to appreciate elephants in their natural environment, appreciate wild elephants. And there are places in Thailand which are actually promoting wild elephants.
So how is it different from the usual elephant tourism that tourists get used to in the past?
All right, well, the traditional elephant tourism, and which is still, in fact, most elephant tourist attractions in Thailand and in Malaysia and other parts of Southeast Asia, are all based on the idea that you have these captive elephants, which have all had their will to be independent broken, and then they're trained to do silly things like play football or make a painting or carry tourists around on their back. And that is all rather, it's all unnatural, and the tourists might think it's fun, but actually it's no fun for the elephant, and it's actually not really appreciating the elephant in its natural environment, which is far more interesting, because elephants are amazingly social creatures. They have this family group that they go around with. And what we can find, even in Malaysia, we find that there are, we can set up camera traps and video traps, which some scientists have already been done in north of Perak. And they're finding that groups follow these migratory pathways to visit salt lakes, and they come in family groups, small groups, maybe around 5 or 6 individuals, and move around. And one, as I was mentioning, there's this one promotion of wild elephants in Thailand called the Koi Boy, and it is focusing on attracting people to go and see elephants in their natural habitat. And so it has wild elephants, and it's working with local communities that live next to the wild elephants and encouraging opportunities for tourists to actually go and see elephants behaving as they naturally would in the wild,
I see.
rather than behaving in a way which is just put on as a show.
Is there some sort of contact between the tourists and the elephants, or it's just tourists, on different platform viewing the elephant on its natural environment?
Well, the thing about nature is that it's unpredictable, so you're never sure what to expect. But both in Thailand and in Malaysia, tourists can actually go right down to the ground, to the forest, can go and actually walk right on the ground which the elephants are moving in, go into the very forest that the elephants are moving in. Of course, from a safety perspective, you would not want to approach a wild elephant, but you can actually get the sense of being right up very close to them and possibly even stand in their footprints and take photographs of their footprints.
Mm-hmm. Are elephants friendly to human beings? I do seen before footages, especially in Discovery channels and all, where people who live in the rural areas or in areas where they're very remote, they form friendships with elephants.
Elephants are naturally intelligent creatures, and they will react to humans in a way that's generally appropriate. For example, if the people are destroying the forest and turning it into a plantation, the elephants who in the past would have had to walk along that route to get maybe to the salt lake or to their feeding ground, they will want to go along the same route. But if they are being blocked and they have no choice, they would be forced to go through the plantation. And if the plantation had some people there and the people were aggressive towards them or violent towards them or made a lot of noise, then they would respond accordingly. Mm-hmm. If the people were respectful, kept their distance, then, and you have to remember this needs to take place over a long time period, because the elephants would remember if there's any bad things done to them in the past.
And of course, just like any other friendships, it takes time to form.
Yeah, so if you've got a good relationship that has established over many years, then there will be a lot less conflict. I would hesitate to say that elephants would actually become friendly with people, because it's to say that a wild animal is friendly is perhaps dangerous, mm-hmm. but certainly there can be a mutual respect between the people and the elephants, mm-hmm. and level of conflict which is manageable.
I see. As tourists, right, let's say you go to a country where they treat elephants as tourism, how can people see the characteristics of elephants when they are under high stress?
Well, this stereotypical behavior is just moving back and forth, like swaying their heads from side to side, mm-hmm. or if they are in an enclosure, just moving back and forth inside the enclosure. Elephants like to be in a group, so mm-hmm. they will want to be with their family, with their friends. But if they're alone, then they will they will always try and be with other individuals. But the classic one is, as I mentioned, they're just basically swaying from side to side.
And this is quite common in places like zoos, right?
Yes, because in zoos they are outside of their natural environment, naturally, and they perhaps don't get enough exercise because naturally they've been walking for long distances every day, and they have to constantly be looking for food. Mm-hmm. And if they're just in an enclosure tied up somewhere, then they would not be able to exhibit their natural behavior.
Mm-hmm. So final question for this segment is, do you think tourists should do elephant rides?
Well, I would advise against it, mm-hmm. because of the reasons I gave earlier, that it's not really natural. Often it can put unnecessary stress on the elephants, actually, mm-hmm. because some of these elephants have to constantly carry tourists all the time. But I would caution that there might be instances where elephant rides are appropriate if it's done in a natural habitat and the elephant is not put under excessive stress by having to carry too much weight.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, this is the end of our second segment. We will continue with the third segment of the interview.
The Durian Heat, bringing big ideas and critical opinions in Southeast Asia.
For more interviews by Durian ASEAN, please tune into our website at durianasian.com. If you're on the go, you can always download our TuneIn app on your mobile. Please subscribe to our YouTube channels at Durian ASEAN and Durian ASEAN TV. Don't forget to follow us on our Facebook page, Twitter and Instagram. We always welcome feedback from our listeners. Stay tuned with the Durian Heat on Tuesday to Friday, same time at 10 to 11 a.m. on GMT Plus 8. Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing.
You're now listening to Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing.